Multiple new CPUs from AMD this week. Apple wants to take it all the way to the Supreme Court, and the best bang for buck high-end GPU no longer gonna happen. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're gonna be going over the hottest tech news that I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. And we're gonna start off today talking about the second CPU that we're finding out is going to launch this week. Last week, we got information that the Ryzen 5 5600 X3D is gonna be coming to Micro Center this week as an exclusive. And what we're finding out is that is not the only chip AMD has up their sleeve, because we're finding out that the Ryzen 5 7500F actually might be coming to market later this week, because it's been listed by a Korean retailer as well as being found out on Puget Bench. So this is the first CPU that we're seeing in AMD's lineup with an F label, which at least if you take how Intel has done things, means that it doesn't have an integrated GPU. Reece, what do you think the F stands for? Frick, no GPU.
You freaking fricks!
Based on the specs that we're seeing in Puget Bench, it's supposed to be roughly identical to the 7600, except for it has 100 megahertz less on the boost clock, and then potentially lacking that integrated GPU that the 7600 and every other Ryzen 7000 chip seems to have. According to the Korean retailer that has this listed, it looks like it's going to cost around $170 to $180. That's the Korean equivalent. That's after you convert the Korean amount. So it looks like it's supposed to be more affordable. This makes a lot of sense. Let me know, are you more excited for the 5600 X3D or potentially getting a very cheap Ryzen 5 7000 series chip? Let me know down below in the comments while I let you know that if you don't want to wait for new parts, you want to potentially pick yourself up the best deal you can get, you should check out today's video sponsor, Jawa, because it's the marketplace for gamers by gamers where you can buy, build, or sell your equipment to either other people, or you can sell your GPU to Jawa directly in case you don't want to deal with the classifieds. If you're looking to upgrade to Ryzen 7000, go ahead and list your previous chip or PC on Jawa to sell it to somebody who's looking to buy and get the best price that you possibly can. Additionally, they have their verified sellers so that you know that you're buying from somebody who's reputable. They have a great community over on Discord that you can check out with over 10,000 members to discuss the best prices you can get on parts. They even have a commissions build program which you can work with on the verified sellers to get a PC according to your liking. So again, whether you're looking to buy something, you're looking to build something, or you're looking to sell your products, check out Jawa at the link in the video description. Big thanks to them for sponsoring today's episode of Hot News. And it doesn't even have to be for PC parts. They have PlayStation 5s, which you can get as well, which we're going to talk about because according to Microsoft and the FTC lawsuit that's been going on right now, it looks like Sony is planning on launching the PS5 Slim later this year, and they expect it to sell for the exact same price as the digital edition, or $399.99. That Jawa deal I was showing you earlier is $390 for the disc edition, but this should potentially have a slimmer version. We're also expecting one to come out with a detachable optical drive. Whether or not that's the same idea that they're going to sell it for cheaper with the detachable setup, we'll have to find out, but we're getting juicy leaks about Sony from this Microsoft lawsuit that's going on, and Nvidia doesn't want any juice leaking from your graphics card causing the power connector to melt, because that was happening with the RTX 40 series. So they're now in development, at least according to Igor's lab, on a new connector known as the 12V2x6. I feel like 12V horsepower was a lot easier to say, but this is supposed to deliver power better. Current cables will definitely physically fit, but it's supposed to have better power rating to make sure that you're not going to melt. Hopefully this just leads to more safety all around, but this is not the first we're actually hearing about it. It's just nobody paid attention. Back when MSI was showing off their yellow connector on their power supply to make sure it's inserted safely on the PSU itself, it showed that it's a 12V2x6. So there are power supplies that should be coming out that are rated for this new standard that Nvidia is going to be bringing out. And the new standard when it comes to Twitter is you're not going to use it. Reece, has your Twitter usage gone down since last week?
A little bit.
A little bit. Reece is being constrained, and that's also what's happening with Twitter on Google. It looks like older tweets are no longer being populated in Google search thanks to the fact that they can no longer be crawled by Google's setup. It looks like over 50% of Twitter results that you could find on Google search, they're now gone, but you can still get new tweets, and the fire hose, which allows new tweets to populate within Google, still seems to be working. For some reason, it appears to be only based on old tweets that are happening. happening, whether or not this is tied to the rate limiting or the fact that you have to log it in, or Google's doing this intentionally because Twitter's not paying the Google Cloud account. It's hard to say, but Twitter also announcing that they are going to make their TweetDeck software, which is something that people like to use when interacting with Twitter, it is now going to be a paid feature behind Twitter Blue, and that's on top of a bunch of different tweaks and changes that they're making to TweetDeck that I've seen mixed responses to. Let me know if you use TweetDeck while you use Twitter. Is this a bummer for you that's being held behind the paywall with Twitter Blue? But in case all of this bothers you, you know who you can switch to, Reece? Meta! Mark Zuckerberg, they're launching Instagram Threads allegedly today. This seems like it might be in response to the Twitter debacle that's been going on, but we've had earlier leaks indicating that this was supposed to launch at the end of June, so beginning of July is roughly in the time frame we were expecting anyways. Threads is essentially an Instagram version of Twitter. They're calling it Instagram's text-based conversation app. Whether or not you trust Meta with this more than Twitter, I don't know what the right answer is. What do we do? What do we do about it?
What do we do about it?
We just make YouTube videos. That's what we're gonna do about it right now. We're gonna do some deals right now. Isn't that right, Reece?
Hey, yo!
He's laying on the couch. I'm trying to summon him over here. Thank you, Reece. And it looks like Apple thinks that they got a bad deal with all of the court dealings that they've had with Epic Games. They want to make sure that they don't have to allow anybody to have third-party apps, and they want to be able to sell everything directly, get their 30% cut. And so it turns out they're pivoting towards the Supreme Court for their latest appeal, trying to make sure that the lower court's rulings that they lost a little bit no longer apply. Apple wants to be the top dog when it comes to selling everything and getting that 30% cut. We'll keep you posted when and if this goes to the Supreme Court, how that plays out. Obviously here on Hot News, and we got some hot news on the Apple Vision Pro. They're not going to be able to make as many as they thought they were. They're cutting back production. And now one could logically think, oh, this is due to the fact that people found out it cost $3,500 and we were less enthused about it. People want it less now that they know how much it costs, and Apple realizes that. No, it's the fact that this thing's too complicated to build. They can't get all of the parts that they need, specifically looking at like the micro OLED displays that are supposed to be going into it. It's going to be very difficult for them to get all of the products that they need to assemble it in a good time frame, with this thing launching sometime early next year in 2024. So it looks like it's going to be even harder to get. So you could probably expect that these things are going to be popping up on eBay for even more than $3,500. But you know what you shouldn't expect to pop up anymore? GfyCat, because it's shutting down as of September 1st. This GIF repository owned by Snap announced that it's done. This is not a surprise. If you've been paying attention, they didn't renew their security certificates. GfyCat going the way of... Is I Can't Hatch Cheeseburger still around? It's going the way of I Can't Hatch Cheeseburger in my mind, which is it doesn't exist anymore. But this is also one of the things that's been happening lately with GIF services. Meta tried to buy Giphy and they couldn't do that. They had to divest that, at least over in the EU. So it's a complicated situation going on with serving video. It's expensive. It's impossible to monetize as far as we can tell. But in case you want to find a way to get new GIFs, it looks like you can make them yourself using AI and PixArt. They're going to have an AI-powered animated GIF generator. You can check this out yourself. You can see little cats fisting. Nope, you can see little cats bumping fists. The verb came out all wrong, just like AI art tends to come out all wrong. And it looks like you're wrong if you think that companies aren't gonna take all of your data and use it for AI, because Google announced that they're updating their privacy policy to make it so that you are consenting to get all of your publicly available data to use to train Google Translate, Bard, and Cloud AI capabilities. Don't use the internet if you don't want to train the AI. That's apparently where we're at right now. Where we're also at is not enough GPUs from AMD, because it looks like the 7600 XT got leaked by AMD themselves over on their German website, listing the 7600 XT, which appears to be a translation issue, not necessarily that it is going to be coming out, but it does seem to make sense that they would release it at some point. We're desperate for GPUs. We have 3 from them over the course of 8 months. It's not that many, especially when you consider the fact that today's top story we're talking about, the 6950 XT, is going away. All of the prices and the things that made it such a valuable GPU, especially back when the RTX 4070 launch, people were able to say, hey, this is a $600 GPU. It is way better than the 4070. It competes with the 4070 Ti, and it's priced like a 4070. It's the obvious buy. All of those prices seem to be disappearing. You can look over on Newegg. You see those prices are drying up. This GPU specifically, the Merc 319, when I prepared this on Monday, it was $599. It's been raised in price since then. And if you go over on AMD's own website, they've raised the price, and additionally, it's gone out of stock for the reference edition. One of the thoughts around this is that AMD has cut production around this because they cannot launch a 7800 or 7800 XT because the 6950 XT was at too good of a price. Why would you buy the new generation when this is definitely going to be lower than whatever the 7800 is? So it looks like they're removing stock. Whatever retailers have is what they're going to be selling out of. You can find more reasonably affordable ones at retailers like Micro Center. They have 6 of the $630 ones in stock at my local Micro Center. Additionally, Amazon does have them around the $600 price point. Only a select few, but it does appear like if you wanted to get in on the 6950 XT, you need to do it now before they're out of stock and the prices raise. AMD hasn't issued any official announcement that they're discontinuing the 6950 XT, but the signs seem to be there that we're at the end of the era for that GPU. We're at the end of this episode of Hot News. See you tomorrow.